What up? What up? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Debate with Bait podcast brought to you by Mo Serious Entertainment. Check us out at moserious.com. We back in it. We got a lot to talk about. You know, it's been a great sports weekend, man. Shout out to the NCAA Women's Championship, man. They had 18.7 million views yesterday for the championship game. Shout out to the South Carolina Gamecocks. Shout out to the Iowa Hawkeyes with Caitlin Clark. It was a beautiful weekend in sports, beautiful weekend in boxing, just a beautiful sports weekend. But we welcome you back to the Sports Center of Mo Serious Entertainment. I am your host, Debate with Bake, the chief debater, the one that always bring the heat, the one that always wins the debate, the one that always runs through the boroughs and kick down the buildings in New York City. I mean, Cole always bring them back. You know, no disrespect to 9/11, Cole. I wasn't taking a shot like that, but I was kind of thinking about when Snoop came through and kicked that building down. But you know what? No disrespect to New York, man. That's just me taking shots at the Big Apple and taking the shots at my number one co-host, the man that's been going down with me all the way from New York to Mo City. But what's up, Cole, man? What's going down with you,
It's
man?
good, man. We chilling over here, man. Like you said, it was a great sports week. A lot of events happening in sports. A lot of events happening in real life. We had two earthquakes over here, a
I know
4.8
that was
and a
crazy.
4.0. I'm like, this is crazy. Now we had the solar eclipse. I'm like, man, these some different times, and now the flowers are blooming. So, and the Mets are back, and the Knicks are winning, and you know how it is out here.
That's right. That's right, man. I don't know about the Mets. The Yankees, yeah, the Knicks, yeah, you know, it's going down for y'all. I mean, listen, I'm
Best
always
point
gonna
guard
say
in the
that.
NBA. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know we argued about
I
this
don't know about
before.
that, man. I don't know about that. I'm gonna say one of the top two, man. I ain't gonna say he's the best. I ain't nobody playing better than him at the point guard position, but I mean, I
Nobody.
don't know, man. He doing his thing though.
And,
He
and,
doing
and
his
Dame
thing,
Lillard
man.
started. Dame Lillard started to look like he's about to head the other direction.
He might. They looking bad out there in Milwaukee right now. I mean, shout out to them, man. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Doc, man, but I do think Doc is a little bit overrated as a coach. But it's
Mm-hmm.
looking bad, man. I never thought I would see Giannis be playing in a soft situation. Before we get into it, though, let's welcome the second co-host, man, the man that's been bringing us in, the man that's been holding us down, the man that's been giving us great stats, great debate, and he also brings the comic relief. What's up, Larry Evans?
What's
What's the deal,
going
baby?
on, my boys? What's going on, my
Was
boys?
good.
Doing the thing, man. Rain, sleet, or snow. Like I said, yeah, hats off to Cole and all the teams out there. I'm seeing more and more Jalen everywhere. It's like y'all really have arrived. It's like hats off to you guys. Y'all stayed in. Y'all put the work in. Now it's time to reap some benefits, and I'm happy for y'all, man. That's
Thanks,
how it
man.
goes.
That's right,
Thank
man.
you.
Nobody can hate on that, man. Nobody can hate on that. But shout out to the Knicks, man. Shout out to Cole for being a faithful fan. Before we get into it, man, we got a lot to talk about, but we're gonna run through this episode because we do have the championship game tonight. That's right, the NCAA men's championship game between Purdue University and the University of Connecticut. And we'll get in a little bit of a talk about that. But anyway, before we get into it, let's swing it over to Chuck, man, the hottest man in the business, the biggest producer in the business here at Most Serious and the Most Serious family. He gonna get us in on Underdog Fantasy. What's up, Chuck?
Yo, what's cracking, gentlemen? Another week, another day. Yo, we won $50 last week. So
Mm.
so shout out to y'all for the picks.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. We're gonna reinvest some of that money today on this college game. You know what I'm saying? So let me go ahead and share the screen here. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Every time I say that, I feel like y'all need to pay me for saying that. So Underdog, just come across y'all timeline, tap in with your boys. We ready to work with y'all. But dig this. So tonight's big game, right? Purdue at UConn. Um, what y'all we looking at right now? The over and under on Zach Edey, right? Well, how y'all feeling? Y'all think he gonna be higher than 24.5 points?
I'll
I
do the
mean,
38.5.
38.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah.
what you think, Ro?
I don't know. I'm all over there on that one. It's like every time I count Edie out, anytime I count either one of these programs out, it's like I think pound for pound, Connecticut is better. And I'm
Mm.
really looking directly at the Edie Klingon matchup. You know what I'm saying? Because Klingon is a decent 7'2", 280, but it's like he ain't quite Edie. But then You know,
Man, I think offensively he better. It's gonna be a good matchup.
yeah, he got like more polish, but at the same time, it's like, can Edie continue the output that he had been doing prior to? I mean, he slowed down a little bit versus North Carolina State. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I guess it's still safer. He's kind of a walking double double. I think he tied the Admiral. He
Okay, so
tied
you on the
somebody.
double blast, and
Yeah, so
so
it's like,
I'm
yeah, I
leaning
think
towards what
38.
Cole said then.
Yeah, I think that's the safer of the two, because it's like he's not just
Higher
gonna
or lower?
get off lower. I think
Yeah,
lower.
I'll go with lower too. I'll go with lower. Because it's college, these refs be messing up too. They probably gonna be like charged early on, putting them in foul trouble, having them playing soft.
Right.
And I
It's like
go
a
lower
third.
too. I'm going lower too because I think I don't know, man. We don't know what he gonna look like against Klingon tonight, man. It's a different matchup. It's a 7-footer that's athletic, that's gonna give him, Edie with the speed. He lacks the speed. He has technique and power, but I don't know. I'm good with going lower. I just don't know what we're gonna see out of him versus Klingon, man.
All right. So speaking of Klingon, right? Well, how y'all feeling on him on the 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists?
Oh, I do higher with that. Rebounds and assists.
Oh man. Oh man.
That's points, rebounds, and assists, right?
Yeah,
so I could see him. Yeah, I could see him having 10 and 10,
22
right?
and a half, you said 22 and a half?
Yeah, 22 and a half.
Yeah. The combination, yeah.
It's the combination of points,
I
rebounds,
go with
and
that.
assists.
I'll go with that.
What y'all think, higher though?
I think higher, because I think they're gonna be both. I think they both gonna be amped, and that adrenaline gonna be pumping. They gonna get some.
Yeah, he's gonna do work. He's gonna do work. Yeah, and I agree. I agree.
I'm safer with the higher on that.
Where's Castle's number?
Yeah, that's the next dude I want to bet on. I like Castle, dog. Castle been balling, fam.
Yeah, he might be a Nick.
It's the freshman from UConn.
Yeah.
Let me make this bet. It's giving me all this other stuff. I ain't clicking on none of that. I ain't click that.
That's the dude with the twist, right? With the freshman kid from UConn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like his game, man.
Yeah, he's nice.
I like his game.
Eat your Nick right there, man.
Why would you even insinuate something like that, man? Future Nick. Come on.
We gonna get him and Zach Edey. Watch, yo.
This guy is out of control. Y'all can have Edie, man. I don't think he's gonna be a good pro.
Nah, I think he just has to be on the right team, yo.
Now here go with Castle right here, right? So 12 points, higher, lower. I can't even bet on this combo. It's grayed out right now for whatever reason.
I say 6 points over the first half. I think he'll have more than 6 in the first half.
I think that's a safe bet. I think that's safe.
I'm staying away from that. I'm going with whatever the majority of y'all say with that. I can't give my point on that. I haven't watched him enough. I know he's been doing good in the tournament, but I'm gonna let y'all do that.
At this particular, I'm kind of in the same boat with it, because it's like,
You're just gonna have to ride with Cole.
Yeah, Edie the only show money out there right now.
Right,
I think everything else is a toss up. Klingon the next best thing. I like Castle a lot, just like you guys.
How y'all
but
feel about
at the same
Spencer?
time, I think it's going. A lot of it is going to boil down to what Dan Hurley can cook up in terms of what he's going to end up doing and what they scheme and the adjustments that they make. So I'd stay away from that one in terms of
I'm good on that,
to be honest. But
Chuck brought up another one. What you say, Chuck?
I say what y'all think about Spencer for Con or the homie Lawyer. I like both of the white boys.
If I'm gonna go with anyone, I'm gonna go. Man, I don't know, Cole. You the better man. I'm gonna let you have these, man.
Let's go with Fletcher for 5 points in the first half.
Higher.
Let's go with high. We go with high, yo. This is an adrenaline game. I think this is gonna be some efficient scoring.
And then listen, don't be betting with your. I mean,
sometimes it's that feeling. You gotta go with your gut sometimes. And who y'all want for the win? Let's go for who gets the win right here.
I got UConn. I've been sticking with UConn all year. Yeah, I think they're the best team in the country.
What you got, Laro?
Yeah, I agree. I think UConn is the more talented of the two teams, but every time I count Edie and him out, man, he kind of shows me something different. So it's like I go against the grain. It's like I rock with Purdue, see what they got.
You know me, I'm gonna go against the grain
He
type
going
of dude.
underdog too, yo. He
Let's
going
do it. Let's do it.
I mean, I guess majority speak. They want to go with Purdue. I'm UConn, but
Yeah, it's like I can't see him going back to back. I think they're the most talented team in the country, but it's like at the same time, I ask myself, how long can they keep this up? Like, how long before a bad night? This has been an incredible 2-year run. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
mean,
it's like,
y'all basing that off of what y'all think. I'm just saying, for me, it ain't been a better team in the country. I mean,
Nah, you
I
right. But sometimes
just think
Edie hot right now.
All right, picks in. Appreciate it, gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna try to win some more money. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy for being one of the only sports books that's available in Texas. You know what I'm saying? I
I
tried to
know.
rock with DraftKings, they ain't available in Texas. FanDuel not available in Texas. So shout out to ESPN Bet. I'll probably look into them before the summer.
Yeah.
But Underdog Fantasy. Appreciate it.
Man. That's appreciate you, Underdog Fantasy. Shout out to them, man. We need sponsorship. We need y'all logo on here, man. We need some help with y'all, man. We've been banking on y'all for a minute, so I'm behind Chuck. I second that, man. Y'all need to hit us up. But anyway, let's get into it, man. Let's get into the NFL offseason because it's a lot going around the NFL right now, in particular, one particular story. And yes, this story lands in Houston, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you what, the football guys have been good to us as far as on paper. But Houston, do we have liftoff at NRG Stadium? That's right, 16 and Kirby, ladies and gentlemen, the home of the Houston Texans. That's right, the Buffalo Bills have traded wide receiver Stephon Diggs to my Houston Texans. And here are the details of that trade as to which team received what in this trade. The Bills will receive, and Cole, correct me at the end of this if I get this wrong, compensation. The Bills will receive compensation and a 2025 second round pick via the Minnesota Vikings. The Texans will receive Stephon Diggs, a 2024 sixth round pick, a 2025 fifth round pick. All right. It's been going around the whole sports world, ladies and gentlemen, in particular this panel that we got here. Let's get into it. Thoughts on this trade? Let's start with you, Cole. What you got?
I love it for Houston. I think it puts them in the Super Bowl contention now. As long as Stroud doesn't have a sophomore slump, I think y'all top four in the AFC.
So that automatically puts us in contention for a Super Bowl. That's what you think?
Yes, top four.
All
Because
right.
y'all already got a nice defense, and that offense is unbelievable. And Stroud looked like a young Mahomes.
All right. Before we get to roll, how would you grade this trade as far as grades A through F? Cole.
A.
A plus, just A plus, A minus, just straight up A.
Straight up A. Straight up A.
Okay. All right. Is Stroud and Diggs now on paper? We haven't seen them yet. A top 5 quarterback QB wide receiver duel.
I say hands down because y'all have two other receivers there and you can't double anybody.
Right. All right, Ro, what's up? Thoughts? When you saw this come across your screen last week in Houston, what did you think, Ro?
instantly, my first thoughts, Josh Allen fucked up, like, it had to have been something like that. Like, I don't know what they did or what the riff was about. It was a couple of those Kansas City games where I saw him looking awful disgruntled, to say the least, after what transpired. He kind of hung around in the tunnel and did this, did that. It was good to see. Like I said, it instantly lit up. I thought it was an April Fool's joke, as a matter
Me
of fact.
too. I did too.
I was like, yeah, somebody's playing with us. No way. Mixon was unexpected. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, for us to continually land these guys. And I guess we do. Casario is working out, in that GM spot because he's had a busy spot. I mean, he's gotten us the diamond in the rough, the best coach in D'Amico. Stroud has been better than even anticipated. And it's like we just taking rungs out of the ladder, jumping up, leveling up. Like the growth is stupid right now, And even on that defense, because we got a couple of defensive linemen and other guys. There's another guy named I think it's a defensive end. Somebody on defense named like Hunter, because we're the only team in history, is what they said, to gain like 1,000-yard rusher, 100 catch like receiving talent, and like somebody on the defensive side with like 10 plus sacks. It's like we making splashes like everywhere. I'm trying to figure out exactly how, but I mean, apparently the sense of urgency is there and it's wide open there. I dig the sense of urgency. I've been watching since 02, 04, whenever they came in, whenever Tennessee left, basically when Tennessee left and went to Nashville. And we got the team in its inception with the expansion days, and this has honestly been the best time it's been to be a Texan fan. I mean, we had some little ups, but it's like, we've always been an upstart, better than expected. Well, not better than expected. It'd be appreciative of what you get, type of ball club. So it's like, yeah, we on the peak right now. I dig it. I dig it a lot. I really like it.
Well, and just to add to that, y'all both brought up two great points. Number one, I'm with Cole. I give it an A as far as what they could have done. I mean, this is the best that anybody could have done this offseason. I mean, it's just been unbelievable. Number two, it's like to the point where Laro said, man, it's like I ain't gonna even say it's Josh Allen, but I'm gonna speak to that situation. But I got it written right underneath there. It's like the Bills are like on an overhaul. They're getting rid of everybody, and it looks like they flat out are just riding with their quarterback. It looks like they starting over and they're riding with the quarterback, especially letting Diggs go. I mean, the players that they've lost so far: Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poole, Micah Hyde, Leonard Floyd, Trent Sherfield, Sarian Neal, Nyheim Hines. I mean, it's just the fact that they're cleaning house and they're riding with Josh Allen clearly. And there's been some underlying reports throughout the season that Diggs had some issues with Allen. That's probably typical of a superstar receiver. They not winning. He probably feels like Josh wasn't getting him the ball. But the thing about it is
with Minnesota too. He said
right,
Cousins,
right, which is a concern. But the reason why this looks so good to me is the fact that, and Larry kind of alluded to it. It's like when we got Caserio, it kind of looked crazy. And I'm just speaking from a Houston fan, Cole. But when we got Caserio, it was like we had the whole Deshaun Watson thing, the Bill O'Brien thing. It was a mess. And it was a lot of things and moves that I wanted him to do, but he didn't. But he held out until they got Watson out of town. To credit to the position of the quarterback, I feel like everything is happening because everybody who's coming and joining this team is looking at this young quarterback. Of course, DeMeco Ryans. Of course, the organization itself has turned around, but it's just crazy how people gravitate to a good-looking young quarterback. And so I think Diggs, if I'm looking at Diggs and his situation, he's probably like, you know what? Where else can I go where I'm going to automatically get in the lineup? I'm going to be the number one receiver. A team that I probably have a few more years left as far as my peak, and I can go and I can be an immediate impact. It's the Houston Texans. And so right now on paper, especially with this trade on top of everything else they've done, but especially with this trade, I never thought that this would happen. I never thought. I was looking at Chase from Cincinnati. He made comments in the offseason that he wanted to come here. But it just nothing ever came about in terms of that. But it's like it was quiet, and all of a sudden, I'm like Larry. I was like, man, this is April Fool's. And then I'm cold, and Cole helped me out. Like, listen, man, you can't just be going off of what everybody putting on Twitter. You got to make sure. And I text Cole. I'm like, Cole, is this true? And he was like, apparently it is. And it was like, it just was a big shock. And so I'm like, it is crazy. Like, let's just think about the offense that the Texans have now. And I got a couple of comparisons, but it's like now, here's what they got. Stroud, Mixon, Diggs, Collins, Dale, Schultz. Okay. That's the Texans. That's the skill positions on offense. And I made a comparison, and I'm going to ask y'all to pick one offense. But you got Stroud, Mixon, Diggs, Collins, Dale, and Schultz. Which one would you rather have? That offense or the Dolphins, Tua, Mustard, O'Chain, Hill, Waddle, Smith, and then I got the Lions here: Goff, Montgomery, Gibbs, St. Brown, Williams, Laporta. Now, what offense would you rather have out of all those three? Because I'm looking at the Texans offense and I'm like, if you look at it pound for pound with just these skill positions as far as offense, I mean, not even Kansas City. I'm gonna go out on a limb because Mahomes makes everything so good. I mean, those other guys are interchangeable other than Kelsey. Let's just be honest. I mean, I'm not no knock on them, they still win. But other than maybe Baltimore in the AFC, we don't know what Cincinnati gonna be without Mixon. Um, we still don't know what the Chargers are going to be. I'm just naming our random offenses that could improve this year. But other than that, I mean, in these two other teams, and let's go with you, Laro first. Is the Texan offense? Is it a top 5 offense at least in the AFC?
Yeah, I'd say I'd say top three, just easily speaking, because it was like the numbers that Stroud was just doing in the rookie campaign alone were staggering anyway. Like he went on that run where he didn't turn the ball over, and we found out who Tank Dell was. We found out who Joe Mixon was. I mean, not Joe Mixon. We found out who Nico Collins was.
Found out.
They had another young man named Noah Brown who was like 4th or 5th on the depth chart. They really. They were just it was I mean, you know, that was what you were dreading. Is like, okay, we're not gonna sneak up on anybody anymore this coming season. We're not a secret anymore. This boy's been with Kylie Jenner and Kendall Jenner in the skybox and all on the sideline. It's like CJ has arrived, you know, and I don't particularly like that for him, but he seems to be anointed to do this. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, it's really a contagious effect, because I think the word is going out around the league, you know, and it's like, yeah, where can I get a situation at this point in my career on the way up? Because like it was interesting you said it earlier. It was like, yeah, I expected us to land like a semi-washed, you know, Mike Evans or somebody like that, a receiver like that. Stephon is really still close, as close to prime as a receiver can be in my summation of it, because it was like that just had that leapt off the page of me like, man, Josh Allen's got to be kicking himself, because like you said, the way they cleaning house and loading up for him to do it alone, he's gonna have some tough years up ahead, and at the end of the day, he's gonna be reminiscent of a mobile Phillip Rivers or somebody, because it's like I don't know if they can build it back. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the funny part about that. Here's the funny part about what you said. Josh Allen, I only think is 1 or 2 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. That's just my personal belief. Like Josh Allen falls into that second tier that we talk about. But the thing about it is, what made Josh Allen was he had a primetime receiver.
Yeah, you know.
And so it's like, you know what I'm saying? The receiver is gone. And I get it. Buffalo should pick their quarterback. I'm not knocking what Buffalo is doing, but it's just kind of like they must have a hell of a plan to like.
That's what I'm saying. That's like trading his left tackle. You know, that's like trading his left tackle or his left guard on his blind side. Like, wait, you're gonna undercut the guy like that? Right. And it's like, and the lists are cool, because it's like, yeah, the Dolphins are a good option, but it's like they laid that egg in Kansas City in the snow, and I won't forget that. It's like if they stay healthy, they'll be exciting, they'll be good. But Tua hasn't turned the corner, and Tua is not quite
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
You feel me? He hadn't turned the corner, and he isn't quite where I need to be to just really stamp them off. And then golf the same way. I think that's the only April Fool's legit tweet that I read and saw. They said that like Goff got traded to like the Washington Commanders for consideration in the Barry Sanders jersey or something real crazy. And I was like, wow, that don't even sound right. That's unprecedented. Like, why would Detroit why would they do something like that? And they got me. I was like, I read the article to the end, wasted all that fucking time, and it was like, oh, okay. April Fool. Yeah, you're right, dumbass. Okay, yeah, they were in the traded Golf at this point. I was like, he was just getting started. Ain't that a bitch? Like, what? You know, like, okay. So, you know, I went with that. But we got the best nucleus, period. Like, even with the next man up, because our depth chart is even deeper than that somehow. We have guys that got valuable experience, you know, this year, while guys, when Tank Dell went down, you know, when other guys went down and couldn't play, you know,
Hey Cole, what you think about this? Do you think this Texans skill set on offense, skill players are better than the Dolphins and Lions? And if so, what do they rank in the AFC as far as offense? On
So
paper now.
I think definitely top three. I definitely agree with Laro with being top three. Were y'all better than the Lions is at quarterback? Running back, they definitely both running backs are better than Mixon and Mozart. Aiken is probably better. Aiken could possibly be better than everyone on that list if he can stay healthy. He's explosive. He did it to my Jets a couple of times. But by far, your receiver corp is probably the best because I think you have so much versatility with outside receivers, slot receivers, and then you got people like John Mitchie who hasn't even played a full season because of cancer. So I'm thinking next year he might even be explosive. So yeah, y'all definitely top three in the NFL. Honestly.
Give me the other two that you say hands down is ahead of us. I'm just curious.
I think any team with Mahomes, and he's gonna definitely get. They're either gonna draft somebody or get somebody else for him. I'm pretty sure. And they got the best offensive minded coach in top three with Andy Reid. Well, you could probably say top because they win it every year. So and you gonna say I'm biased, but I think the Jets.
No, that's good. That's why I asked you because that's a fair
another receiver or
exactly.
tight end.
So. And that's a fair assessment. That's why I asked you that because I was waiting for you to say that because I can't argue that. I really think like other than Rodgers going down, y'all have done a great job. Not a good job, a great job putting that team together. I think if Rodgers is there, and even now, y'all still add, even on defense, it's like
offensive line we added was crazy.
Right. Who's gonna really the Jets are gonna be a problem. If everything stays the way it's supposed to stay, of course I could put the Jets above. Even though we haven't seen the finished product with Favre because he got hurt. That's not a bad point at all. That's not a bad ranking. Like, yeah, I would get it. I would definitely. That's not being biased. That's being practical and that's being honest. Like, I have no problem with somebody saying the Jets offense could be better than the Texans.
I definitely think we have the easiest route to the playoffs than any other team because the Bills blew everything up.
Miami. Right. Hold on. Stay right there because I want to ask you that before you get into it. I'm going to let you get into the AFC East little minor breakdown. But you being in New York, you being a Jets fan, you being an opponent twice a year playing against the Bills, what do you think is going on with the Bills right now? Because I said it before, me and Larry, we agreed, but you probably have a little bit better bias because you are there and you do see the Bills more than we do. What do you think is going on with the Bills?
I will say with the Bills, I think they spent a lot of the time and money trying to win the last 4 or 5 years. So I think right now they're in reset, and I don't think they're that far away. I think that in the NFL is one of those things where you find yourself one or two position players. As long as you have a quarterback, you're always in it.
Right.
So they find one or two position players, and then they make sure that defense stays steady, which they kept Von Miller, and they have a couple of other players still there. I think as long as they get like a receiver and hopefully get a decent running back to shine, I think they'll have a chance.
Because you say that a lot, and you bring up a good point about that. You always say, and sometimes I think you jump the gun, but I understand what you're saying. He's like, it's time to break it up. Mm-hmm. It's time to break it up. It's time to break it up. So that's why I'm asking because it's like it looks like the Bills are saying exactly what you just said. We've done this for 5 years with this team. We've changed parts. The only thing that we are consistently invested in is our quarterback. It's time to move some pieces. It's time to do this and that. And so, that's a great point. And I know you've always been an advocate for that. It's like, you know what? If it ain't working as a GM, let's break it up. Let's do it now. And so it's just, I was curious to hear that because I'm like, man, you see them twice a year. Mm-hmm. And they obviously are riding. The message to me is they're riding with Josh Allen. They feel like he's good enough on a day-to-day basis that they can just interchange some parts, remains to be seen, and they think they'll be okay. So you're a little bit more optimistic than I am, again, of the Bills. But let me ask you this, Cole, while I got you on this topic. Best case scenario, if everything plays out for the Texans, forecast a record for me.
I forecast the wins because
Right.
it's 17, 18 games. I can't remember, but I
Yeah.
forecast the wins. I think at minimum 11 games.
Okay.
I think y'all win
So
11 games.
do we win our division? Do we win the AFC South?
I think y'all better than Jacksonville.
Right.
I do like the Colts. I think it's gonna be. I think y'all still win it. I still think y'all win it. But I think if
Coming.
Richardson stay healthy, I
They're gonna be right there.
I like
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, man.
Yeah.
And next year he won't have the contract issues that started him out with the season when he was holding out. So and then he got injured.
So you got us winning the AFC South. You got us
that's
having
y'all winning the AFC South. Y'all got the best coach in that division. I think that that defense is real. I think our position plays are real. I just hope that Diggs doesn't get sensitive because the ball's going to be spread around. So he got
and
to
that's
stay.
a fair point because in the past he's done it. He's done it in Minnesota. He's done it in
Mhm.
in Buffalo. So that's a fair point. Now, can we beat the Baltimore Ravens with this changes in the lineup? I'll go. Let's go Larry first, and then we'll come back to Cole. Larry, can we beat the Ravens now? What we've done on offense?
Have we made enough adjustments? Yeah, I think another year older, another year colder. I think that yeah, we able to get over the hump. I think we were deer in the headlights. We couldn't really get much going. We just had that special team score. They're returning basically the same core with that only a running game wrinkle.
Right.
That's gonna be a little different. So that's well and good, minus Odell. They still got, it's like, yeah, you know what? I'd really like for us to be on Hard Knocks, you know what I'm saying, or something this year. That would be really, really cool
To
if
go
we could
behind
get
the
that
scenes.
look,
Right.
yeah, and then just to look and see how these boys are working, you know what I'm saying? Because every team that makes splashes and moves like this in off season are interested enough to get that exclusive little sneak preview look. You know what I'm saying? It's good for the league, it's good for football, it's good for we deserve it. Everybody deserves a little first look. But with that would come a lot of extra expectation as well, because we certainly wouldn't be sneaking up on nobody then. And you got to just kind of put up or shut up.
Right.
But yeah, I take us over Baltimore, and I like Baltimore because it's like, really, does that get us past Kansas City or in a
That's
shootout
gonna be
with
the
Kansas
question.
City?
Right.
Because see, my point about it was like I did consider Allen, right there, in terms of what Buffalo was going, and will do with him. But it's like, at the end of the day, I mean, you give him as many teams as you want. He's getting to the same exact point and losing the exact same way. Seemingly, he's always, if it's a couple of seconds left, if you give him a home seconds left, you can't take him in a head-to-head shootout. And it's got to be messing with the guy's mental to a
Right.
degree. Because
Right.
how many different variations of the same team can you show up with and
Exactly.
still, produce a different result? So yeah, it was excellent forecasting code is just kind of see that one coming, and then just, I mean, I commend the Texans on being a willing recipient, because it was like they weren't going to trade him in the division. They weren't going to do a lot of different things,
Mhm.
and we were opportunistic at the right time. Like I said, hats off to Caserio and the way that the moves that they've made. They've expressed a desire to move on past and shake that stigma and maligned past with the Deshaun debacle and all that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we've really done, we really did. I mean, it's really becoming a theme of the city, because it's like the Astros had a scandal. You hide Dusty. You kind of struggle through some tough stuff, and then
Boy.
hey, you bang right back. You know what I'm saying? And it's like teams across the board are doing that, even with
Yeah.
the Udoka effect. It's like the Houston sports teams are getting a little nasty, and I really like it, because we had been a joke in a lot of ways for a lot of times,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
being cheap, not spending the right money, not making the right deals.
Yeah.
Making the good old
Now,
boy
let me
deals,
jump in right here, Laro, because you said
signing
something
Tony Baselli. Huh?
that I
Oh,
was
go
thinking about, fam. You said spending the right money, right? And when you
ahead.
talk about
Yeah,
that Diggs contract, I like how they front loaded it 1 year, and so all of this
yeah.
stuff about him not performing and all of that, like
He
it's
got
it's, it's, it's
incentives.
all on the table.
And
Yeah,
just
he
to
got
add
All
to
on the
that,
incentives.
table. You know what I'm saying?
just to add to that, it's a lot of pressure on Diggs because here's the thing: for Diggs, it's got to be this. Okay, Minnesota didn't work for whatever reason. You could point and say, I don't know if it was Cousins or whoever was there as a quarterback. Okay, Josh Allen didn't work for whatever reason, and you got a lot. You can stand on that if you digs because we keep getting to the second round and we keep getting bounced out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is almost his last. Talking about what you just said, the front to put most of that the deal at the front end of that contract is saying this is a lot of pressure on him because if it doesn't work in Houston,
We can let you go.
well, not even that. We can let him go, but the league is gonna start to look at you like, okay, you was at Minnesota, we understand. You was at Buffalo, maybe we understand a little bit more. But now the pressure's on because that's all that young team needed was somebody like you.
Mm-hmm.
If it don't work, now people gonna start looking at you. And then as a wide receiver, 3 different teams, no Super Bowl, not even. I mean, you got to the playoffs. You did a lot of things in the media to make it look like you look like a diva receiver at times. But we accepted it because the team wasn't successful. There's no excuse
We
now.
accepted it because he was still putting up 1,000 yards. You know what I'm saying?
But
So-
for him, this is his last ride, I think, as far as a Super Bowl, unless he's going to be Antonio Brown with the Bucks, where his production is going to go down. He's still going to be valuable, but you also got to look at it like this. People are going to start to wonder, you had 3 different quarterbacks. Is it them or is it you? You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to be the knock. So it's a lot of pressure for him. Like when I seen him, and I know he's got an extreme work ethic. I like that about him. But when he got here, and it's just me, just being an ex-athlete, when he got here, he got to work immediately. Number one, that says to me he's hungry. But number 2, he's putting a lot of pressure on himself because he knows.
put up a show.
Right. And this is probably the best situation he could have got into, barring how his career has gone so far.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So he's putting a lot of pressure because it's like, I was mad in Minnesota. Didn't work. Didn't work in Buffalo. Okay, I'm here. I got a young quarterback. I got a young black coach. I'm in the AFC South. I'm in the same state as my brother. You know what I'm saying? This is it for me. I got to get it. So it shows me that he got a sense of urgency, and he's also like, this is my ticket. Because how many receivers get that chance?
There was an article saying that his first choice was Kansas City, but Buffalo was like, nah, you ain't going over
We're
there.
not trading you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're
we
not
ain't trading
gonna
you
get
there.
them. Right, exactly. And I don't blame him on that. All right, let's get to the association. We'll leave the other topics to another time because of time. We got the national championship game on tonight. All right, let's get to the NBA. A topic that's current right now, and I'm curious to hear, even you, Chuck, I want you to go in on this. But let's start with Cole. Cole, who is your regular season MVP and why right now at this point?
That's so hard for me.
Now that's funny for you to be sitting back because I know
you know me. You know me. I'm a Joker fan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought you would jump on that immediately.
But I think a lot of us, we get into that. You just want to see somebody new type of thing. The 2 people that I was liking in the beginning of the season, Edwards, he's been consistent. He's been doing his thing. And Joker, been consistent. But I'm sorry for all the stuff that we've been going through in New York and all the injuries and stuff and the way he's carrying the team, and we still up
mad at it.
I'm going with my man Brunson, even though they're not going to give it to him. I'm going with him, man.
But tell us why. I'm not mad at it, but tell us why. Other than you being a New York fan, tell us something outside of your bias of being a New York fan.
I'm gonna tell you a few things. You trade the core of your team with Quickly, RJ, and you trade them away, and those were your next 3 and 4 best scorers. You bring in a whole bunch of new people with Bogdanovich, with Dante DiVincenzo, with freaking Burks. You bring in, you get hurt with Julius Randle gets hurt. You get what's his name gets hurt. OG Anunoby, Robinson gets hurt, and we're still in contention for a top 3 seed.
It's a great case.
He's averaging 28 point, I think it was 7 as of yesterday or something like that per game. He's the first time All-Star, took us to the playoffs last year. His play only got better and better with more adversity. I just don't. To me, that's the guy.
I get it. It's a great case. I can't, here's the thing. I know you've always pumped joke on this show, and you've been right about that, but that's a great case, man. I love Brunson. That's a great case. The amount of adversity he has to go through as far as a team and carrying a team as a point guard. You know, carrying a team as a point guard, yeah, it's hard for. It's not. It's very. You can't even debate that. That's such a strong case.
You know what I was thinking yesterday when I was watching them and they beat Milwaukee was if the Knicks make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or even to the finals, period, it's going to be because he puts up some not Herculean, how people say Herculean efforts. He put up some Allen Iverson efforts where Allen Iverson was playing with a lot of nobodies or just average players, and he just carries them offensively. I can see him doing that to at least the Eastern Conference Finals if we get the right matchups. As long as we don't see Miami in the first round, I think we gonna be good to make it to the second. So,
all right, Ro, your turn. Your turn. Who you got? Who's your regular season MVP and why?
Yeah, off the list, it's like the obvious choice is like a guy like AE because of the standings. But I'm gonna give a shout to like Paolo Banchero. I'm not sure what his numbers are looking like right now, but just the plus minus and wins losses and the position and the way he's kind of I like what Orlando's building down there.
It's a great case, man. It's a great case. Go ahead, go ahead.
He's a dark horse, and like I said, just like Cole, I know he's not gonna get it. But it's like it's commendable what he's doing. It's also commendable what the kid in Indiana is doing too. What's it, the Halliburton kid, whoever that is? You know, I'm not sure like statistically. That's why it's like I personally just don't like Cade, and it's like they still rebuilding. It's like Cade, no matter what he does, should not be eligible for anything other than most improved player at very best. He can't be MVP. Yeah, I mean, I don't. They're clearly still building, so he's not even the MVP in Detroit right now. You know what I mean? It's still like 2-3 pieces
team
away.
Is so bad.
Yeah, they still they're 2 or 3 pieces away. So it's hard to really gauge his effect. You know, Wemby, you could definitely consider him for anything, but it's like, you know, at the end of the day, San Antonio's still in the rebuild too.
No, Ro, don't be looking at the next because y'all think you're looking at the next topics. I'm not saying those are the MVPs. I'm saying your regular season MVP, not out of those.
My regular, who do I like to put in? Yeah, it's like I take my hat off to Banchero, and then even like you said, workhorse guys who have really increased their output with the next man up mentality. I'd be inclined to go ahead and say Brunson too. You know, like the things Brunson's doing, you can't shake a stick at because he doesn't have overwhelming athleticism. He's got a slick little, left-handed game. He's really playing that hybrid point guard position. You know what I'm saying? A little bit, which is kind of it's interesting to see how that's evolved. And we got a front row seat. He's kind of first class. You know what I'm saying right now. So he's first team to say the very least.
Oh yeah,
so,
easy.
When you talk about MVP, just the criteria on what it takes, and it's like the best case is between him and AE, like Cole said earlier, because they've had to deal with a lot of adversity, a lot of people, a lot of pieces shifting in and out, and they've done nothing but kept winning and increased their output. So it's like that, that's certainly MVP related, MVP status.
Y'all both make some good cases, man. It's
shout out to Banchero too.
I got to give Banchero some love too. I think he should get some votes. Man, it's hard for me because I've told Cole for months that I think Jalen Brunson was the best pickup in the league, and he's superseded my expectations. There's a very strong case for him being MVP. I think Banchero will get some votes. Man, Edwards has been unbelievable. But for me, I'm gonna be a little biased, and I'm gonna say the kid from Oklahoma City.
I knew you was gonna say that too. I knew it. I was like, they gonna say that. I can't do
that. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. To me, it's got to be out of him and Bronson. For me, I'm gonna lean with him because, much like New York, I mean, a couple years ago, a year or two ago, it was like we didn't even have, much like Orlando, bro. We didn't have Oklahoma City doing anything. Now we were seeing Oklahoma City trending. That's why I can understand what you're saying about Orlando, bro. But I think the world of that kid. I think that kid does a lot of things much like Bronson. That's why I say, and it's no disrespect to Edwards. Like, first of all, Joker is like Giannis. And Joker, you can give Joker the MVP every year.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Embiid didn't get hurt, the trajectory he was on, he would
Mm-hmm.
definitely have a case.
Mhm.
For Edwards, for me, he's been consistent. He's shown us flashes of a young 1980s MJ. But for me, why I don't put Edwards up there with Bronson and Alexander is that even though they've gone through a lot of adversity, they've had injuries. That team is still stacked to me in Minnesota. I think Minnesota, their GM should be up for one of the probably GM of the of the year award because they've done so well in the front office. That's not taking nothing away from Ant. Ant has held the fort down, but it's just for me, Bronson and Gilgeous Alexander have just had the tougher roads, and those two in particular have changed the culture of their teams. See, and that's what I was telling Cole about Bronson last year. You found your superstar. I feel like for years, New York has had a bunch of number two guys, a bunch of Robins, a bunch of Scottie Pippens, but they have not had that guy. And what I mean by that is, who do you build your team around? Who does your team take on that guy's attitude? And I thought that's what I was telling Cole about last year when they lost in the second round of playoffs. I'm like, it's okay. You got your guy. You
Mm-hmm.
got your face of your organization. You want Jalen Bronson to be the face of the New York Knicks because he represents a lot of the characteristics of New York City. Tough, gritty, smart, professional. Getting back to those days of Ewing and all those guys playing tough, smart basketball. With that being said, that kid in Oklahoma City, I mean, what are they? Number 2, number 3 in the West. And it's like, how could you not give that kid or give him, a lot of consideration for the MVP because he's just been so consistent. Like they have carved a young nucleus around him, and he has done nothing but just night in and night out, just been he's been consistent. He's been quiet. He's my type of superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what I'm saying separates him from Bronson or separates him from Anthony, but it's just for me what he personifies. And what they got going on in Oklahoma City, much like Orlando, I love young winning cultures. Like they're young, they're winning. He's taking on the role of being the leader. And for me, much like Orlando, because even with New York, it's kind of like this year, this just my personal opinion. I kind of knew Bronson was going to do this. I didn't know he was going to do this to this extent, but my expectation for the Knicks, and Cole will tell you this, my expectation for the Knicks coming off that playoff run is they're going to be good this year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how good Oklahoma City was going to be. And so for me, I give him the MVP just because of my expectations. It's personal for me. I didn't expect him to look this good this early. Like, that trio they got down there with him, the other kid, the Jalen kid. Yeah, and
Actually, all four of them, because you got to give props to Giddy. Giddy,
exactly,
Chet Holmgren, though. You talk about Chet Williams.
and those guys, they just give me the vibes of that once Oklahoma City team that was there. Harden, Durant, Jeff Green, Russ, they're giving me that vibe again.
Best GM in the game for the last
Exactly. And shout out to Oklahoma City.
10
They've
years,
always had
maybe.
great gyms. So for me, I'm just a little bit biased because of the expectations I had for Oklahoma City. I even expected Minnesota to be pretty good. I expected New York to be good. And I'm not taking away from their MVP, them being MVPs by that, those guys that are leading who we just talked about. But it's just for me, Oklahoma City has just exceeded my expectations. I mean, they're much like Orlando, like you said. I mean, for him to do what he's doing down there, he gets my MVP vote. I'm not mad if you give it to Bronson because he definitely deserves it. I'm not mad if you give it to Edwards, even though I lean a little bit more between Bronson and Gilgeous Alexander. I hope I'm saying that kid's name right, but I just think they've had to overcome so much.
I think
Yeah,
what
sure.
Orlando's missing. I think what Orlando's missing to get over that hump is Draymond Green.
How y'all feel about
Yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
how y'all feel about Luka?
I go first. Yeah, he definitely should be in that conversation. He should be first team. It's just for me, I still have questions defensively for Dallas. And I'm not saying that's his fault. Do I think this is what Dallas has got to do for me, and it's not fair? It's definitely not fair. They got to show me something in the playoffs because they always
So they
do.
would be messed up with the Clippers right now. Playoff started today.
And see, I'm not sure
Yeah.
if they can beat the Clippers. And I'm not even saying that because the Clippers are so good. It's just that my only knock for Luka, my only thing about Luka is defensively. Defensively, like I know what Luka is doing. I know he could do that. I know he could put up 70-point nights. It's incredible. But have they really shown me something outside of what they've always done? Put up great offensive numbers, great highlights, can score with the best of them, can win some games that we didn't think they could win, of course, but they've been doing it. They still haven't shown me, and I pattern the team around Luka and his habits. They have not shown me anything yet defensively that says should Luka be the most valuable player in the league. He's the best offensive player, maybe. But as far as MVP, can I put him over Bronson? Can I put him over Gilgeous-Alexander? Can I put him over Anthony Edwards? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what y'all think about the Luka?
I can't put Luka over them because he don't play defense. I can't. Even Brunson don't play defense, like tough man-on-man defense, but he's not no slouch, and he'll take charges. I don't even see Luka taking charges. I can't go with Luka. I mean, offensively, like you said, I think there's no better player in the league, or he's top 3, top 4 by hands down, but I can't do it for MVP.
Ro, you agree?
Yeah. He maybe gets a single vote, a single sympathy vote, but you don't play no D, and then it's like you really kind of a co-star. You know what I mean? It's like I appreciate fully the Kyrie show. I mean, that's really what I'm tuning into when when Ramadan or Uncle Drew or whoever's gonna show up that night shows up. I'm kind of paying attention to what Luka's doing in spite, and it's like. It's nice. It's nothing to look down at or just to discourage at all or make light of at all. But like you said, at the end of the day, it's entertaining. It's going to keep some butts in some seats. But is it going to really make a significant difference in what they've already been doing? I say no, I don't think so. And I don't think his contribution is all that great. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't going to say all that great because, like I said, that's making light of what he's doing. But MVP conversation is like, no. I mean, maybe all NBA first, second team.
Yeah.
Sure,
and just to add to that, and this is no shot at Luka, but Wemby is more of an MVP candidate.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just being the way
I would say get it now while you can.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I mean, his ability to affect both ends of the floor. You know what I'm saying? So
I noticed, like at the beginning of the season, the whole NBA was on Tatum. I noticed he was not in neither one of y'all top 5.
He could get some votes, but again, when I look at the top of that list,
can't get no votes, yo.
But I'm just saying, when you look at the top of the list, it's kind of like
you get a vote, Draymond get a vote.
I wouldn't go that far. But I mean, just for him, does he get some votes? Yeah, because of Boston and all that. But you got to look at what Boston is doing. Is it really because of Tatum? Or is it because of how they built their team? For me, the biggest X factor for Boston is not Green and Brown. It's
Porzingis.
And Holiday. And Holiday. The contribution that Holiday did defensively on the floor is big. But for me, it's been Porzingis. I told Cole that. I wish we could have had this Porzingis in New York because I always knew he could do this. But he just stayed hurt in New York. So it's just been the fact that he's been healthy that the matchup, and he's going to be a problem for anybody in the playoffs if he continues. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's get to this. We're gonna skip. We're gonna talk about the last 5 number 1 picks next week because of time. All right, I want to get everybody's opinion on this because congratulations on the great career. Rajon Rondo has retired. He announced his retirement. His resume includes 2-time NBA champion, 4-time NBA All-Star, 2-time All-Defensive First Team, 2-time NBA All-Defensive Second Team, 3-time NBA Assist Leader, 1-time NBA Steals Leader. And let's summarize his career. And you know my biggest question to this panel. You know what I like to ask? Is he? Let's start with Ro. Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he a Hall of Famer? Go ahead, Ro.
Absolutely. This one of the few times, few guys has kind of a slight work resume, but he's a winner, man. He's actually one of my favorite point guards. While he was playing on that Boston team, they won the ring with.
Oh, he froze. We'll come back to him. Can you still hear him?
Mm-mm.
All right, Cole, you go ahead. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I think he's a Hall of Famer. I love to say he's probably one of the first few point guards that you appreciate someone who just isn't a score first point guard, but just the way he just, I guess you would say,
Take you back.
control the game.
Right.
as far as
Bro, we're gonna come back to you. We're gonna let Cole go. Go ahead, Cole. Finish.
with the assists, with the rebound and everything. I will definitely put him up there as one of my favorite ever to watch. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. And I think that he makes people realize that everything ain't about scoring in the league that make you a superstar, because I think he was amazing in everything. So
Right. Ro, let's go back to you. You finished saying what you saying about Rondo. He still froze.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, definitely. And let me start with this. Number one, in particular, and Cole, I don't know if you remember this specific season where, and it might have been the season that they won the championship. I can't remember the season with Boston, but he was starting to make that. I think we were in school. He was starting to hit that 15-foot jumper, and he was having games. They were allowing him to shoot, and he was like getting 30 points and 20 assists, something like that. He was getting and I could just see his game improving in front of our eyes. And he was the embodiment of, I'm getting better. People thought I couldn't shoot, but here's the thing. I can shoot. I just don't want to shoot. But if I have to shoot, he was making the right decision. And for me, a lot of people don't talk about this. I think he was the cog in that. I think he was the main cog in that engine in Boston.
Oh, he definitely was.
Because KG really wasn't what he was in Minnesota. No disrespect to him. Pierce was still doing his thing, but Ray was still, Ray was coming out of his peak from the Miami days. I think Rondo was the X factor for that championship, and even Boston after that. Ro, we'll come back to you in a second. But for me, this is what it is. I'm gonna be honest. I'm biased. For me, the 2-time All Defensive First Team, 2-time All Defensive Second Team, and the 3-time Assist Leader. For me, just accomplishments. Those are accomplishments by itself. It's just incredible. And then people don't talk about this with Rondo, but he stuck around the longevity of his career, because even though he wasn't as athletic as he was when he was in his Boston days, his prime days, he was still able to help teams win. And like Cole said, man, he was just the embodiment of a point guard. For me, Rondo, God, man, if
he's a throwback. He's a
throwback. And I think his accomplishments would have been more. I think if he had more time with KG and all them, I think he caught KG and Ray and all those guys, not in particular Paul Pierce, but he caught them on the tail end of their career. Shout out to George Simpkins. He said second ballot. I say first ballot. Just as because for me, when we do all these Hall of Fame talks, and I'm gonna come back to you, Ro. For me, there's a list of things that you got to go down. Number one, of course, resume stats. Number
Mhm.
two, and this goes for me and Rondo, for me, your influence on the game. Your influence on the game. For me, at that time, him and Chris Paul were the perfect embodiments of point guards in the NBA in an era that was changing from the old school going into what we see now. Those two were the last, I'm not going to say the last, but the significant two of point guards I think about going into this, I like to call it Harden and Steph era, this
Mhm.
positionless era, this scoring era. And so, to your credit, Larry, and we'll come back to you right now after this. Um, for me, it was his influence. And for me, if I take Rajon Rondo and put him in any era, if I do NBA 2K, if I could put him back in the 80s, I think he does the same thing. If I put him in today's game, triple double machine like he was easily. And here's the thing, he played both ends. He played both
Yeah,
ends.
two-way player.
Two-way player.
Yeah.
So go back. We go back to you, Lara, before you cut out. But what was you saying about Rondo when I asked the
Yeah,
question?
no, just I mean, he owns a large part of that bubble chip in LA. To be all the way
Mhm,
honest with you, almost
mhm.
as much as AD. I mean, they were leaving him butt naked out there, and he was
Yep.
splashing them. And then it's
Mhm.
like
The
he came up.
longevity of his
That's
career.
been
Yep.
that's been a nice little innovation and tweak for somebody who really saw the highest level and saw their peak early. He kind of rolled a peak on out throughout. He
Right.
always played high quality point guard basketball. He reminds me of like KJ. I mean,
Yeah.
because the point guards who could score, but weren't just pure shooters. We had a whole string of like, I mean, from Jay Kidd to Kenny Anderson to Ron Strickland. It's like, but they were absolute wizards with the basketball, down the
Right.
ball fake,
Mhm.
Right.
finishing. You know, he had like he had. He's almost second up there in terms of his finishers and his just with like a Kyrie. I didn't seen him do some things with the ball that was just
Mhm.
absolutely insane. The kid's a magician. He's got long arms. He's
Mhm.
always, he never really turned the ball over, but it's like he's got
Mhm.
a handle that's underrated, tremendously.
Right. Right.
I always love Rondo, and you're right. He was the engine on the catalyst that
Yeah.
got them that ring in Boston. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
his two rings look misleading. It's
Yeah.
almost, you always would make the mistake and think that he won two in Boston, just to win his
Yep.
floor generalship
Right.
in Boston alone. But yeah, no, he's got the resume. I dig Rondo, man.
Yeah.
I think he's a first ballot.
And that's why I say I think he wins more if he had that kind of trio of superstardom that he played with this whole year that he had in Boston. I think he didn't win more because he didn't have that core around him, because of course he could have scored 20, 30 points a game if he wanted to. I think physically he could have, but the thing about it was, again, that trio was coming into the last half of their career. And so that's why I think he doesn't have more accomplishments. But I think he's
Shout out to Perk too, man. He made Big Perk. He
yeah.
made Perk, look extremely decent coming over from OKC, because Perk looked wise for a long time as a rookie almost, and it was like Perk, you know. He made Perk real relevant, and Perk. Those two rookies were real instrumental. I mean, well, they weren't rookies, but
Mhm.
they played a real integral part. I mean, alongside them vets, like you were saying, those
Right.
some real good ball. That was that Doc even? Like, nah,
The
maybe not.
championship year was Doc.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm saying maybe Doc has been hiding, and maybe Doc is tremendously overrated and been
I think
riding the
so.
real
Me and Cole
wave.
talked about this on the earlier episodes.
Mhm.
Like, even in Philadelphia, he didn't do the right thing with Embiid and all them. He didn't do the. And I don't knock him because I love him. I love him as a sportscaster, but he's a good coach. He's not a great coach.
Mhm.
And people have to remember that. We got to remember that it's not hating. I'm not hating on another black man. Of course, I want to see him do well as a minority, but the truth is the truth. There's some holes in this culture.
How y'all think Mark Jackson would have been doing as leading the Bucks right now instead of Doc? That was my pick. I felt like Mark should have got that job.
I think
Well, the
Mark
thing
should
is
get
about
any
Mark,
job. He should be the first choice for any
right?
job that opens.
Well, they blackballed him out of Golden State, and people got to remember that. Of course, he would do well with Milwaukee, because a lot of people don't remember he built the Golden State dynasty. He's the one that told them, let's move away from Monte Ellis and let's go with this kid from Davidson. Let's go with this guy that can shoot Clay, and let's go with Cole's man, Draymond. So I look at
on that Fab
right,
and Jada kid.
right, and at the end of the day, don't pay attention to that. At the end of the day, he's just been blackballed out of the league because he made a comment. You can't make that comment in Golden State. You know what I'm saying? What he said. I'm not gonna say what he said, but you just can't do that. But he's a stand-up guy. I think Mark Jackson would do well anywhere.
Like Draymond.
I was just thinking about, I was looking at the Bucks struggles lately, right? Like even the other night, like, okay, man, this is Doc Rivers seemed like he over his head, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like, man, Mark Jackson I feel like Mark could have got Dame to do what we need Dame to do.
Well, and at the end of the day,
I wouldn't judge him off that game against the Knicks though, because Brunson, he's a career record.
Always got to ride with his team, don't he? No, I agree. That's what the Bucks need. That's what the Bucks need, but they blackballed Mark Jackson. Like, he's got to be blackballed in the sense that, you mean to tell me that other people, like, no disrespect, and I'm biased, no disrespect to Silas, but he had no business here. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can coach veteran players, but he can't. You mean to tell me that Silas deserved the Houston job over Mark Jackson? Like, he's obviously being blackballed. And that's no disrespect to Silas. I think he's a great assistant coach. I think he'll be better coaching veterans, but he can't coach young players. But, it is what it is. But I do think Rondo should be in the Hall of Fame first ballot. That's just my personal opinion. All right, let's get to 2 more topics, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's do 2 more, and then we'll take up next week. All right, this has been going around in the NBA. I've had it on this list, but I think Austin Rivers was talking about it. Might have been on First Take or one of those shows on ESPN. But Paul Pierce, he brought it up in Undisputed. And I think it's a valid question because it also goes into GOAT talk. But Paul Pierce adds on Undisputed, and shout out to Paul Pierce for being on Undisputed now, that Steph Curry's influence on the game has been greater than LeBron, MJ, and Kobe. Now, my question to the panel is this a valid statement by Pierce? And again, Pierce says Steph's influence on the game has been greater than LeBron, MJ, and Kobe. Let's start with you, Cole, because you're shaking your head.
Man. Yo, has he been drug tested yet? Because every single time I watch him on the podcast with Kevin Garnett, he drunk. He talking.
Now, I think what he's saying, though, because he's saying influence. He's not saying stats or who's a better player.
Nah, I don't. He's definitely never had a greater influence than Michael on the culture of just sneakers and basketball and all that other stuff. He's not having a greater impact than Kobe, Shaq, or none of them dudes. He might have changed the way where people shoot the 3-pointer from 25.
But that's what people think is culture, though. Right.
That's it. But outside of that, what else is he doing? Right. Shaq is building a dynasty outside of basketball. A commentator has everyone in basketball want to be commentator after their career. Jordan has everyone wanting to sign their own sneaker and start their own brand, in which, Magic and all of them.
Hold on. Let me play devil's advocate. Now, I do agree with you to a certain extent, but let me play devil's advocate because he's talking about influence, and it's not fair for you to say, Jordan, a lot of the things that he's doing, a lot of the things that Shaq is doing, well, let's just say Shaq, not Jordan, is when they retired.
But that influence started on the court, how they branded themselves on the court, how they started to immerse themselves in hip-hop culture, where Kobe and Shaq were coming out with rap albums and stuff like that, while at the same time had everyone doing their moves and trying to do under the basket, hanging in the air moves and stuff like that Jordan did. Even and if you're going to put Steph Curry out there for 3-pointers, you could say Harden started the Euro step, even though it was really Ginobili, but he made it popular. I just personally think that Magic, Jordan, Shaq, and Kobe probably did the most for the game than anybody else, and Larry Bird, because he was that great white hope that everyone in the white community was like, hey, he's playing.
And him and Magic eras intertwined.
Yeah, but I would definitely say that those were the people who opened the path for everybody else, and now everyone else is following that. And Allen Iverson will have a bigger move on culture than Curry too. So
right. Ro, what you think? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I can't agree with the truth because Nah, it's like and Steph's got his fingerprints all over everything, but his overall just impact on the game altogether and how the game is played and going forward. I think if anything, it's a little negative because, like I said, people are now twisted on what a point guard is. I think that's a much more interesting conversation. The way Isaiah Thomas presented it and just made the distinction that look, he's not even really the point guard on that
Right.
team.
Right.
So it's like, are you really drafting teams differently? Are you evaluating players differently? Even on that, because it's like he has a similar impact, I'd say, on change the game that maybe Shaq did, as far as the way it was officiated to a certain degree. He LeBron, and then once officials start changing the game to craft what you do, to put butts in seats and keep the fans engaged and stuff and appreciate what you do, that deserves a certain level of distinction all its own. But overall distinction is like, he doesn't have anything going on off the court. Them
Right.
Under Armour shits is ugly. You know what I'm saying? It's like your sneaker game is part of your deal. Everybody still thinks of Under Armour as a football brand. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's
Right.
like you even
Baltimore Ravens.
To be honest with you, he's Reggie Miller with a little bit of handle and flash.
yeah,
But let me
exactly.
but let me say this. Hold
That's
on.
disrespectful, Cole.
Well, hold on.
Nah, that's honest. Reggie Miller ran off screens like that, hitting threes.
No.
Reggie Miller could not dribble like Steph Curry.
No, that's what I said. With a better handle and flash.
But see, hold on.
Reggie
Here's the thing.
Reggie chipless too.
But here's the thing, too. People got to remember this, too, because I'm going to play devil's advocate. For one, I do agree with both of y'all, but we have a bias because we grew up in a different era. Now, I do agree with you all because here's my distinction. This is just my personal opinion. When I look at, let's just say Michael Jordan, it's not only just about the sneakers, but what we got to remember about Michael Jordan is this. And I put Michael Jordan, this is how I look at it. I say Magic and Bird, then Michael Jordan, not just because of time, but for me, Magic and Bird made the NBA relevant for TV. It's the same thing. I keep telling people this all the time about Caitlin and Angel Reese. You want this because everybody wants heroes and villains. Caitlin is a hero, Angel is a villain. It's going to spill over in the WNBA, just like Magic's rivalry with Larry in college spilled over to the Lakers and Celtics. It's beautiful. But for me, Magic and Bird made the NBA relevant. But for me, Michael Jordan carved his own image into the NBA. I think Steph in Harden's era was pushed by the NBA. Here's why I say that. Just like the NFL, the NBA has marketed itself on what? You can't hand check anymore. There are certain things you can't do. You can't fight anymore. You can't get any, there's no physical play. They are pushing a offensive friendly era. So you're going to have James Harden, the emergence of the step back, the 60-point games, because they're pushing for an era where no defense is being played. Steph and Harden, for me, are the child of these eras. But that's more of a narrative that the NBA pushed. For me, Michael Jordan put his stamp on the NBA, and then the NBA followed. And so that's why I think Jordan's influence is more so, to me, his influence was more earned. I don't think the NBA was pushing that narrative. The NBA was pushing the Lakers and the Celtics. Somebody had to take that crown from them. They didn't push the Chicago Bulls. Now, some people say they did, but for me, Michael Jordan took over everything. And here's the thing about the sneakers. Michael Jordan's sneakers were big while he was playing, which spoke to his influence. Like, his influence while he was playing was so great that, think about this. Michael Jordan had a shoe line while he was playing where other NBA players that he was playing against were on Jordan. Like, Ray Allen was on Jordan while he played against Jordan. Other players who Jordan was playing against were playing on the sign to the Jordan brand. So that's influence. And they still were trying to knock off Jordan, even though they were wearing Jordan. Derek Anderson, When Jordan was playing, Roy Jones, a boxer, signed to Jordan. There are football players playing football. There are schools right now in college who wear the Jordan patch. It's Jordan. It's not Nike. It's Nike, but it's Jordan. Steph is with Under Armour. There are no Steph jumpsuits. There, like I got on the DJ Khaled shirt, and there's a Jordan symbol. UGK is signed to Jordan. You see what I'm saying? That there are rappers, there are race cars. So his influence is
Drake, Travis Scott.
Yeah, you got rap, you got everybody, different entertainers.
Golf shoes.
Jordan has broken into the race car industry. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, I do think today's era is, as far as to basketball, the way it's being played today, favors Steph's influence. But I think the NBA was pushing that narrative. I don't think Steph Curry, because of how he plays, could create an era where everybody wanted to be like Steph without the NBA pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
You have Steph Curry, you have James Harden, because the NBA, much like the NFL, is pushing a offense-first narrative. That's my knock against, y'all ain't gonna like it, but that's my knock against Brady in the NFL. Brady played in the era he could play a long time. He's still clutch, but he played in the era where you couldn't hit the quarterback. That's the league fostering the era. That's the league pushing a narrative in the era. I feel the same way about Steph Curry. James Harden, as we see, can score 60, 70 points a game because you can't hand check. You can't be physical. So he benefits from the times. But again, if you take James Harden, you put him in the 90s, you put Steph Curry in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, I don't know his influences will be big. You take Michael Jordan, you take Kobe Bryant, you take Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, you put them in this era, the kind of marketing they could have got just from playing and just their style of play. So I think it's Jordan, not only because of the influence of the shoes, but I think Jordan kind of carved his own era. I don't think the NBA gave him an era. I think Steph, no disrespect to Steph and Harden, all these offensive explosions are because of a league that's pushing a narrative that we want offense. We want to sell tickets. We want to put up points. We want to be able to do this. We want to be able to do that. That's my only knock against Brady. I think Brady benefited from an era you can play 20 years when you can't get hit by defensive players. Do y'all honestly think that Tom Brady would last in an era with Lawrence Taylor when they hit you? There were no penalties. There was no, you getting kicked out of the game. It's just roll him up and put in the backup quarterback. That's just my opinion. In my opinion, no disrespect to Peyton Manning, but they preserved Peyton Manning because you couldn't hit him.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So I side with Jordan simply because of not only just the shoes, the culture, everything with the Jordan brand, but it's also, I feel like Jordan kind of created his own era. As versus, I think Steph era is pushed because of the and it's not Steph's fault. I think Steph era is pushed because of the offensive explosion. There is no hand checking. There is no hardly any flagrant fouls. They want an offense first era. So, I'm hoping with Anthony Edwards, some of the guys that we named, we get back to the two-way players, defense and offense. But that's just my opinion. All right, let's get to the NCAA and we'll get up out of here. All right. Angel Reese has declared for the WNBA draft. She departs college as one of the most decorated college players in recent memory. Her resume includes the following: first team All Big Ten 2022. That's when she was at the other school I cannot remember for the life of me. Two-time first team All SEC 2023 and 2024. Three-time All-American from 2022 to 2024. Unanimous first team All-American in 2023. SEC Player of the Year 2024, national champion, and career averages include 18.6 points per game and 12.3 rebounds per game. Is there more that she needs to do in college? Is she ready for the league? Let's go with you, Laro.
You know what? I'd be inclined to say that I'm satisfied with what she's done. She doesn't have anything left to do. I mean, the WNBA is kind of slight work. It's like they be balling, but really sitting down watching and enjoying this the women's
Right.
Final Four and championship really gave me a kind of new appreciation for the game as in its total as a whole, because it's like it's almost like the dudes the males, we kind of our technique and our knowledge of the game and everything is kind of it's restricted, or it's kind of curbed by athleticism, because it's like
Right.
because they're not quite as athletic. I mean, it ain't a girl out there with a broken jump shot. I was just watching it the other day, and I was like, man, everybody can hoop. It's like they come off a screen, they get daylight.
Fundamentals. They pay attention to the fundamentals, right?
Yeah, it's perfect form. It's like they don't get infatuated with all the stuff that we kind of get caught up in spending extra time in practice doing. You know what I'm saying? They're not bridled by that. So it's like their technique, they sound, they well coached. I was just impressed all around. I was like, oh yeah, man, baby girl gonna hoop. Well, that's she's gonna hoop or play softball. It's one of them, but because it's like I was just kind of thoroughly impressed in like a good way. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Camilla Cardozo chick, you know what I'm saying? The big 6'7" in South Carolina, like she did work. She was in there looking insane. The whole program, South Carolina, just looked insane.
Shout out to
Caitlin, shout out to the women's basketball. The last time they was gonna, get paid and do their thing anyway. So it's like, why not go to the league? There's nothing left for it. Go to the big three. You know what I'm saying? That's what she needs to be trying to do, is get an Ice Cube deal. You know what I'm saying? And go on over there and make some money, like at WNBA for the bird. Make like teacher salary, tripping.
So, Cole, you think Reese is ready? You think?
I think Reese is ready. For her, I think it's a win-win. If she would have stayed, she would have still had nil deals, making a lot of money. So I think for me, I probably would have enjoyed my college years and kept making that nil money.
Right.
But and then went to the NBA, because when you're in the NBA, you playing with grown women now who've been in the weight gym, and you may not get the same amount of playing time.
Right.
I mean, when you elite. She's definitely gonna get playing time, but I would have probably stayed in college for another year for me personally.
Right. And I definitely understand that, because the money that she can make, I do think she's ready. I want her, like I said earlier, and I kind of let the cat out of the bag. I want her and Caitlin to go together, because I want them, and that's what's and the thing, what a lot of people don't realize, I've been screaming this for years for women: be the characters. Don't be the nice little girls that everybody wants you to see. Everybody wants you, and I'm not saying be disrespectful, but be what Angel and Caitlin are with South. Be dogs, because that's what yesterday they had 18.7 million people viewing that game. You know why? It's because of the superstardom, the characters. That's what they need. You need good girls. You need rough and tough, or what they classify as rough and tough. I think they do that, Angel, because she's black, but that's for a whole nother discussion. But you need these characters, just like I said with Bird and Magic, Elijah Warren and Ewing. Ewing was in Georgetown. Ewing was a dog, but most important, all of Black America was riding with Ewing and the Hoyas, because John Thompson set this whole precedent that I'm bringing all black kids to Georgetown University. And whatever you say about us, we're going to debunk all those stereotypes. So Georgetown became everybody from the hood loved Georgetown. All the black kids loved Georgetown. And Georgetown to white America became the villains. We want to see them lose.
That was my favorite coach of all time, John.
Exactly. So John Thompson, and John Thompson created this narrative that we are just as good as the white players. And so America, Black America, everybody got in front of the TV, because it was like, I'm pulling for Georgetown. Georgetown wore Nikes. That's what the brothers wore in the hood. You know what I'm saying? The character of Patrick
Same reason
Ewing.
we riding with Colorado.
Exactly. The characters and I said the same thing for the women. Be dogs. Talk crazy. All this, Angel, you know how many people were watching LSU this year because Angel was doing this and talking crazy, because they wanted to see her lose. That's why I say ride that, just like Magic and Bird. The whole story of Magic and Bird played out. Magic was this cool, smiling kid that won in high school to college. He was 6'9". He had the Showtime effect. And then Bird represented the gritty white boy from Indiana that had to play against the brothers. He out there shoving mud in his mom's driveway. He played for the Celtics. Why he ain't paying for nobody to do that? Because I'm hardcore. I'm from the Midwest. This is what I do.
Mhm.
So the women needed that. They need those heroes and villains. And so I definitely think she should go. I'm with Cole, though. I understand. That's what the WNBA going to have to do. And that's another thing why she should go. The WNBA is going to have to step up their salaries because guess what? I mean, Jerice, I already get $1 million from Mercedes-Benz down in Baton Rouge.
Yep.
As an NIL deal. I'm not in a rush to come to your league. You're going to pay me, like Rose said, a teacher's salary. I'm getting more money in college. You know what I'm saying? So
Do she lose? I don't think she lose her NIL deals.
No,
Okay.
because no company would offer her any kind of money like that other than something in town. And then when she goes to the league, I wouldn't sign with him. It's going to expire because I'm going to the league. Like she's got a Reebok contract coming up. When she finishes at LSU because they sponsored by Nike, she has a Reebok shoe with Shaq and Iverson. So yeah, she gonna get that money. But I think she should go because I think her and Kayla should go. They're gonna probably go to the sorry team, so they probably gonna be the better team, better players on the teams. Continue that narrative, bring that gritty to the WNBA. Bring it to the WNBA. You got characters there too, but bring this college rivalry. You know, South Carolina, the same thing. Be dogs. Because at the end of the day, that's what made 18.7 million people watch that game yesterday. They wanted to see, half of the country wanted to see Caitlin finish this. The other half wanted to see, and it was black and white too. The other half wanted to see, can South Carolina go undefeated? It was a great clash of good versus evil. Everybody picked their sides, but everybody had their eyes on the sport. So go to the WNBA.
Yeah, shout out to Leroy. Leroy, you said it earlier. He said, man, watching them kind of brought my attention back to the sport.
And guess what?
That's the point you make.
Yeah.
Like, not just him or us. 80 millions of people are always looking. And so
even Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was saying that on their show. They were saying that women's basketball is better than men's basketball right now in college. It's like name 4 or 5 college players. You don't know what their names, but you know who Juju is. You know who Reese is. You know who Caitlin is.
Because the game, we get so caught up into, we get caught up in culture and everything like that. But the thing about it is, it's all about the players. It's all about the stories and the rivalries of the players. Mm-hmm. That's why you're a fan. White girls, Midwest white girls, Midwest white people want to see Caitlin. They look at her as being the Jedi that's going to slay the dark side. Most of us in Black America, we love Dawn Staley. We love what she's done in South Carolina. We want to see her go undefeated.
We like Louis V.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying. That
jacket was me.
Whatever.
That jacket was hard.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize this too. Just admitting with America is still about race. A lot of black people gonna sit down and watch the pull for South Carolina. I had dudes in the barbershop, like, I had to check this one dude because he was like, man, black dude, man, Caitlin ain't that good. I hope she lose. I'm like, why you hope she lose? Cause man, they, classic black, hey, they give her all the calls because she a white girl. And I'm like, all right, let me ask you a question, brother. You think you can beat her one-on-one? Yeah. Why? Because she a woman? Yeah. I said, let me tell you something, bro.
Caitlin will cook you, fam.
Let me tell you something, bro.
Forget about it.
You 40, number one, you 40 plus years old. Number two, she runs up and down the court every day. My bet is if I played her in a game that I could score 2 points if we go on to 15. She'll beat me 15-2. You know what I'm saying?
But what's her name from Binghamton? I think her name was Betsy or Beth or whatever. She played overseas. She came back and played open gym one day. Yeah. And I'm watching her cook dudes. She was hitting every 3 playing over there in Europe. I'm sitting here like, I can't even mess with her, I'm not
exactly. And so, at the end of the day, that's America. Half of America was like, white America was going, I'm going for the white girl. Like you should hear the people on my job. Like, it's funny to me because they different. different races. They like, I can't stand that Angel Reese. Why? Because she has no class. Why she don't have no class? Because the way I said all she did was do this and she talked shit in the media. What's wrong with that? But well, Caitlyn has more class. Why? She did the same thing.
Exact thing. Yeah.
But it's white versus black. That's America.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the narrative. Why not sell on it? You know what I'm saying? But I mean, people don't want to admit the truth, man. America's about race. But all right, man, we'll get to this next stuff next week. Let's give out our shout outs and we get out of here, go catch this game. Shout out, speaking of Cole, or it might have been Cole or it might have been Rowe. Shout out to USC freshman guard / forward Juju Watkins for being named freshman of the year by the All-American by USA Today Sports. Shout out to South Carolina head women's basketball coach Don Staley for being named 2024's Naismith Women's College Basketball Coach of the Year. Shout out to Iowa guard, I'm not going to hate, Caitlin Clark for being named Naismith's Women's College Basketball Player of the Year. Shout out to Purdue center Zach Edey for being named the Naismith Men's College Basketball Player of the Year. Shout out to H-Town own Kelvin Sampson for winning both the John McLennan and Naismith Men's College Basketball Coach of the Year. Stay in H-Town. Shout out to Jamal Shedd for being named Naismith's Men's Defensive Player of the Year, college basketball. Shout out to Stanford's Cameron Brink for being named 2024 Naismith's Women's Defensive Player of the Year. Shout out to my man Mac McClung for being named the 2023-2024 G League Most Valuable Player. Shout out to Stockton Kings coach Lindsey Hardy, black woman by the way, for being named the NBA G League Coach of the Year. This is the first woman to win the award. Shout out to my man, and my man don't get a lot of credit, man. He's the logo, but shout out to Jerry West, who has now been elected to the Naismith Hall of Fame as a contributor to the game. West has previously been inducted as a player in 1979 and a member of the USA Olympic team in 2010. My man has been almost 2 or 3, maybe 4 roles in the Hall of Fame. So shout out to him, man. And shout out to both Iowa and LSU women's basketball programs for having 12.3 million viewers for their basketball game last week, which was the most watched women's college basketball game ever. Now, yesterday they might have trumped that in the championship by doing 18.7. And shout out to my man Mark Gasol. I believe, along with Paul Gasol, they might be the only brothers to have their jerseys retired by their teams. Mark Gasol had his jersey retired by the Memphis Grizzlies, and I believe Paul Gasol, don't quote me on that, I believe Paul Gasol had his jersey retired. I don't know if it's the Lakers or somebody else, but I know Mark just got his retired by the Memphis Grizzlies. So shout out to them, man, for coming over here and putting in that work. And shout out to my man Cole for always holding it down in New York. Cole, you got any shout outs, man?
Yeah, shout out to John Calipari for signing a 5-year deal with Arkansas, man.
It's crazy, ain't it?
Crazy.
Like this dude, check this out. This dude went from UMass, I want to say the NBA, Memphis, Kentucky, and now he going to Arkansas.
He win wherever he go. He's the second highest paid coach too, man.
And the funny part, we did talk about this. I never thought Kentucky would do that, but they serious. They want to win.
They're not winning.
Yeah, but I mean, to fire Calipari, as much, he ain't been winning lately.
Well, I was watching this morning on First Take. I think Shannon Sharp made a great point. He was like, at the end of the day, he's not winning. He producing great players and they look good, but they not winning no Final Fours or no chips. And
but that's just recently. The man had a dip. Like it ain't like they've been losing for the last 8 years.
I think they said they ain't made Sweet 16 since 2017.
And he stayed in the same division too. I think that's the same division.
They still went to the tournament though.
They didn't take all those players.
If you Kentucky, if you paying Calipari that kind of money,
I know that's what I'm saying. It's the expectations, but exactly. I didn't think they was gonna do that. No, but see, here's the thing though, y'all do that. Y'all was paying Calipari. You gonna have to offer. I mean, they said they're gonna offer the UConn coach an unbelievable deal. So I don't know, man. But shout out to him, like you said. Go ahead, Cole. Finish your shout outs, man.
That was my only shout out. I think it's gonna end up being back to the Nolan Richardson days where Arkansas was up there all the time, dog.
That was a great time.
Kentucky gonna lose all those players, man. But if that's true, they're gonna get UConn coach, then you know they get Hurley to me is Ever since he left Buffalo, man, he's been one of the top coaches in basketball. So
Yeah, so they say they gonna make a pitch for him. Bro, you got any shout outs before we get out of here?
Yeah, now, well, yeah, shout out to the MVP, who is a chick I mentioned earlier. What's her name? Camilla Cardozo, the big post in South Carolina, for doing work, for doing Edie like work and finally getting her due in the shining game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What's up, girl?
Oh man, I love it, man. I love it, man. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to the Most Serious family. Shout out to Roll and Cole for holding it down as the best co-host, man. Shout out to Chuck for holding it down as the best producer and the head of this Most Serious ship. Shout out to the rest of the Most Serious family. That'll be Most City the podcast. Guns Down, Gloves Up with Jeremiah, Dr. Jeremiah, aka Johnny Binder, and Dr. Candace Matthews, and that whole group. They're doing a great job. Check them out on Thursday nights. And shout out to everybody who's been in the chat, and shout out to the sports world for keeping us with fire stories. Shout out, we getting ready for the NBA playoffs. And we got some boxing events coming. It looks like Javante Davis versus Frank Martin will be in H-Town. And ladies and gentlemen, we also got Cole coming to H-Town next month.
Yeah.
So we'll have the 3-man team in the studio.
Yes,
So shout out to that. We will be ready for that. The magic we're going to have in the studio. So keep it coming. Keep it rolling. Subscribe to Most Serious. Go on mostserious.com. Get you some merch. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. And shout out to everybody for tuning in to Debate with Bait Podcast, episode 26. And we are out.